What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Questions You Never Thought to Ask. This week, I'm doing a new style of episode for this podcast. I'm kind of calling it a reverse radio call-in. So instead of having people call me, I'm going to call a bunch of kayakers and get their answers to just one question or maybe two questions. What I want to get to the bottom of today is something that a lot of people have been asking me about via Facebook comments and via Twitter and via some comments on the podcast about the mental side of kayaking, how to prepare, how to deal with being nervous. So I have a all-star team of phone calls here, and I'm going to get them on one after the other in no particular order, just kind of the order I speak to them in. And we are going to get to the bottom of how they prepare for being nervous in big rapids and being scared. And then let me know how you feel about these ones. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's go on to our first call-in, reverse call-in, the first person I'm going to call. First guest here on Questions You Never Thought to Ask, all the way from Heidelberg, Germany. We've got Adrian Mattern. Adrian, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Seth. Hello, how you doing?
Welcome to Questions You Never Thought to Ask. I am excited to get you on an interview here of your own at some point in the future. But for today, we're just doing our reverse call-in show where I'm calling kayakers to find out the answer to a couple of simple questions. Difficult one first and then an easy one to follow. Okay, you ready?
Nice, I like it. Fire it my way.
Okay, so question number one. What do you do when you are nervous before a rapid or waterfall?
What do I do before I'm nervous above a big drop?
Yeah.
I guess I have kind of a routine where I obviously picture myself running my certain line of choice over and over again in my head. And I do the spit test, also another good one. You just try to spit out, and it's a good marker for me. If I'm able to produce enough saliva, I'm not too nervous, still in my comfort zone. Then I get in my kayak and I splash my face twice, splash my GoPro once, twist and turn my body to the right, twist and turn my body to the left, lean back, lean all the way forwards, and then I go. That's my go-to routine. I pretty much found working really well for me over the last few years, I guess.
And you haven't been deviating from that too much. You've just been sticking pretty much to that formula, and that's Adrian Mattern, secret recipe.
Yeah, that's what I like to do. I used to have this weird thing going on where I always thought if the wind would pick up just before I was about to peel out to run a rapid or waterfall, I thought it was bad karma or a bad sign. But it only took me 2 weeks of Brent making enough fun of me, and I got rid of that. And now I know that if wind picks up before running a stout is not a bad sign. But I was definitely influenced by that when I was younger, but nowadays, no, it's just that. It was just set my go-to routine.
Do you have any other bad habits that Bren has bullied you out of?
Old man noises.
Oh man, everybody needs those. I'm telling you, that's
dude.
He needs to just back down.
I know, and the good thing is Bren is picking him up too. Once in a while, I'll catch him, crack his bag, and release a loud I'm heck yeah. He's taking over.
He's getting much older, that's, his time's running out. Hopefully we're going to have him on later in this show. Adrian, question number 2 for you, then I'll let you get on your way. What do you like to have for breakfast before kayaking?
Complimentary, but not needed. Science knows all I need to survive is sunshine and kayaking. So we definitely, you were there with us in Quebec. We went kayaking quite often without breakfast. It's nice, but there's no need to eat when you want to go kayaking, really.
So you prefer to have no breakfast before you go kayaking?
I don't need it. The earlier I can get on the water, the more happy I am. And there's nothing better than coming back from a sick morning lap, pour a cup of coffee and make some oatmeal. I really like that. And it's 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. by that point. So yeah, either way, pretty easy.
All right, cool. Adrian, thanks a lot for your time. I'll let you get back to work, but we will move on to our next kayaker here.
Awesome. Thanks for checking in, Seth.
Second guest today, welcoming Nouria Newman back to Questions You Never Thought to Ask. Nouria, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Besides the fact that I'm stuck in Paris, but city lifing hard.
City lifing sounds terrible. Okay, Nouria, I won't take up too much of your time. We'll just get straight into it. I had a lot of questions from the audience about what they wanted to ask, and a bunch of people were really interested in how to deal with being nervous. So our main question for today is, what do you do when you are nervous before a rapid or waterfall?
Well, first you need to define nervous. Like, there are different ways of being nervous. If you have irrational fear, you should probably work way before you get on the river to not be on the river and kind of lose your abilities. But then it's normal to be nervous above a big rapid. So I think you just need to acknowledge that you're nervous and understand why, because that will definitely help dealing with it. If you're too nervous about something, I would recommend that you just take the smart way, which means you just portage around that rapid. And then you still need to be nervous enough that you're focused and that you're gonna nail the line. And I think the secret to dealing with this is just, instead of putting yourself into a rapid that's way above your comfort zone or your skill levels, you just need to step it up slowly and take some step back and not go all at once and not take chances.
Do you have a particular like pre-rapid routine for when you're nervous and when you're like getting fired up to do something big or hard?
So with slalom, I had some sort of mental preparation that we would do before races, or working with a psychologist. And a lot of athletes have like rituals, and I was always trying to not have like a complex ritual, because then if you cannot do it the day of the race, you kind of freak out because you didn't warm up like this or like that. But there are always a few things that I like to do, and sometimes I don't do them all, but typically I like to look at the lines by myself without anyone talking to me. So I kind of have this autistic behavior at some point while scouting a rapid. And then once I commit to it, I get to the top, I get in my boat, I make sure my outfitting is good, put my skirt on, I double check that my skirt is nicely done. Sometimes I forget, then it's scary. And then now I have this new thing that I've been wearing for the last, well, it's not that new, for the last 2-3 years. I have a mouth guard. So I usually, if it's a hard rapid, I usually reach for my mouth guard in my life jacket, put it on, splash myself. If it's a really big rapid, I do 1 or 2 breathing exercise, and that's it.
And are you wearing that mouth guard just to keep your like fine dentistry in good shape, or prevent concussion, or what's your thinking on the mouth guard game?
So I was living with a 62-year-old flatmate for almost 3 years, and she happened to be an ex-dentist. She was retired because she was pretty old. And so we'd always like talk about implants and how expensive they are and how teeth are important. So reason number one I decided to try it out was like so I wouldn't have to afford, like, I can't afford a huge dentistry bill. And the second reason is definitely for concussions. At first I was just like, okay, might as well just try it out. It's quite expensive. It's probably $200 because it's a good one. So if you buy
That's
the
an expensive
crappy,
mouth guard.
if you buy the crappy ones that you do by yourself, basically they don't protect as much, especially for concussion. So I would recommend that you only have one, you don't lose it, but you make it done like really well by a dentist. And since I have it, I am way less sore. Like, don't really have the heck neck anymore. So I'm not too sure if I only had really good lines or if it's the mouth guard, but I believe it's the mouth guard.
All right, game on. And then I've got one more question for it. Then I'll let you get off the line here, Nouria. What do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
Oh, to be honest, I don't really care. Like, I can pretty much have anything for breakfast.
Anything or nothing? Like, do you prefer to have something or nothing at all?
No, I think especially when you go kayaking on a river or anything hard, things can go wrong. So I always try to make sure that I have a good breakfast, because sometimes it might take like 15 hours before you get some more proper food. So don't skip breakfast before going on the river.
I also advocate for breakfast, but I actually was just speaking to Adrian before I spoke to you, and he was like, he's all about that, like, no breakfast, go kayaking life. So I don't know how they do that, but you know, that's good. I'm glad to hear people advocating for breakfast. All right, Nouria, that's all we got time for from you. I'm going to move on to our next guest. Thank you so much for joining me. See you soon.
Bye, Seth.
Okay, so next on the show, welcoming Alec Vorhees. Alec, welcome to Questions You Never Thought to Ask. How are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Just fantastic, bro. So just very quickly, I won't take up too much of your time. First question, what do you do when you're nervous before a rapid?
Before rapid, usually what I kind of do is just really make sure to visualize. That's a big part of kind of my process. Getting ready for something, just envision myself having a good line off of it. Usually if I'm nervous, it all kind of goes away as soon as I put my spray skirt on, splash myself in the face, and from there just go down, and whatever happens, happens.
When you did Alexandria Falls this year, did you have a routine, or you just like splash yourself in the face, whatever happens, happens?
Yeah, so that one was a lot of visualization. Leading up to it was definitely the most nerve-wracking, but as soon as I kind of did a little bit of stretching, just kind of made sure I was feeling good. Evan and I went up to the top and both said good lines, and from there just did one last visualization in my boat, and then I just went and tried to have as good a line as possible.
Do you have a particular routine, or you just send it?
I wouldn't say I have a routine. I mean, I do kind of the same things. Like, I'll give one splash to the face right before I push out, make sure my spray skirt's on really good, kind of do some in the boat stretching after I've already stretched a little bit. Just kind of some normal stuff.
Cool. And then last question, probably the most important question. What do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
I mean, it depends where I'm at. If I'm on an overnight or something, just good old classic oatmeal. Can't go wrong with that. But if I've got time to make something, I'll make a nice skillet with some eggs and maybe some sweet potatoes, onions, just lots of veggies, just kind of a good power meal.
Nice word, right on. Yeah, I spoke to Adrian Mattern first, and he was all about that no breakfast, go kayaking as soon as you can program, and I was like, I ain't got time for that.
That works too. Have breakfast, have a late breakfast, but I like to, whatever. Just depends where I'm at. If stuff's going, and I got to get going early, then I'm on that program as well.
Sweet, right on, Alec. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. We'll see you again in the future for an interview at some point on questions you never thought to ask. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks, Seth.
Oh, hang on. Wait, Alec, before you go, where can people check out your highlight reel that I just watched the other day? It's looking pretty hot.
You can it's on Facebook, just on I finally took the time and set up an athlete page. So it's on Alec Voorhees. Just on Facebook.
That's a pretty sick reel. I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast will probably enjoy watching that.
Yeah, if you want to go check it out, it's there. Wasn't quite the year I was hoping for. Had a late season injury and kind of got skunked on a few trips, but still can't complain. It was a pretty good year.
Yeah, I reckon. All right, Alex, sweet. That's all I've got for you. Thanks a lot for moving this right along. All right, next up on questions you never thought to ask, reverse radio call-in show all the way from Nepal. We're speaking with Darby McAdams. Darby, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Seth?
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time to join us here, Darby. So, just the big question of the day: what do you do when you're nervous before a rapid? Talk us through it. What you got?
I guess when I'm nervous, I try to like identify where that kind of fear is coming from. So maybe it's like, you know, some obstacle in the rapid that's like a big hazard, or I don't know, maybe it's a social fear. I kind of try to like identify that and then work through that as it comes. So if it's like, usually I would say it's like, maybe it's a big hole, or maybe like not make, like the fear of not making a move. Like I just try to like think about other moves that I've made that are similar. You know, maybe it's something I've done, you know, 100 times before, and I try to just like think about those positives. And then that's how I work through it, like step by step. Yeah, just focus on the positives, and then focus in on there. That's not a very good answer, but.
What do you mean when you said a social fear?
I think like I try to consider like what the consequences are if I don't make a move to the rest of my team.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. And then the big question for today, Darby, that was like the intro question. This is like the real like meat and potatoes question is, what do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
I think that depends on what other meal I'm going to get later. I like a breakfast of like just good old oatmeal. I don't know if that's boring, but I think it's like nice and light, and yeah, makes me feel like I'm not bogged down, and yeah, kind of gets me through the early morning.
Spice that up, a little cinnamon in there, like some raisins. You just roll like straight plain. Like, what's your oatmeal of choice?
Oatmeal with maple syrup.
Oh, isn't that the best?
That's good.
All right, great, Darby. Thanks for your time. We're going to move on to our next radio call now. Okay, next up on questions you never thought to ask, we're welcoming back Dane Jackson. Dane, how are you doing today?
Doing fantastic, bud. Thanks for having me.
Perfect, Dane. Just won't take up too much of your time here. We've got one big question we're asking everyone and one small, less important question. We'll start with the smaller question. What do you do when you're nervous before a rapid?
What do I do when I'm nervous for a rapid? I will jump around, talk to my friends, check the lines again, try to get as stoked as possible. Maybe when I get in my boat, to splash some water on my face, maybe visualize, and just try to stay confident regardless of how nervous I get.
Do you have a particular routine? Do you do the same thing every time, or you just keep it free flowing?
Keep it free flowing. Every situation's different. Safety's in different places. Different friends are there in different places. So it's just it's fun to kind of keep it going as roll with the punches. Each time is different, so you kind of handle it a different way.
Okay, right on. And the big question of the day: what do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
Ooh, depends on what I'm feeling, but it's hard to beat like a triple decker breakfast sandwich or something like that. You know, you do like the eggs in a basket, which is like the eggs inside the toast, and I'll do like 3 or 4 eggs, and then I'll do about a package of bacon. So it's like this massive breakfast sandwich. That's usually my my go-to. Got to get that protein.
Yeah, you gotta fuel up, man. That's a hearty breakfast right there.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a breakfast of champions. Definitely reverse vegetarian.
Reverse vegetarian. Yeah, I think that's probably the best description I've heard of the meal you just described. All right, sweet. Dane, thanks for your time. We'll get to our next kayaker up here in a second.
Thanks, dude.
Okay, so next up on questions you never thought to ask, reverse radio show call in. We got Nick Troutman. Nick, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, Seth, and yourself.
Just excellent, buddy. So we got 2 questions, one important one and one not so important one. I'll start with the not so important one first. What do you do when you are nervous before a rapid?
You when I'm before a rapid? Well, I guess I try to visualize running the rapid and kind of play it over in my head how it would go and how my line looks and what strokes I'm going to take and all that. I visualize having a bad line, then I'm like okay, maybe I shouldn't. And if I visualize it step by step and realize that it's pretty simple and good to go, then I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's not so bad. Let's suck it up and go for it.
Nick, I was just,
then when I
I'm
peel
just,
out,
sorry to cut you off. I'm just actually losing you a little bit. Can you start your answer again?
oh yeah, yeah. Let me go inside. Usually when I'm visualizing, when I'm nervous before a rapid, I'll just visualize the rapid and visualize my line and what stroke, and then kind of just go through it in my head. And if I visualize having good lines, then I get in my boat and go for it. And if I is having bad lines or like that, then I usually take that as a gut instinct that it's probably a good idea to walk it, and I walk around.
Do you have like a
Can you
set
hear me?
routine that you go through every time? Yeah, I can hear you, dude. Sorry, we were
Oh, okay, cool.
breaking up for a
Sorry.
bit there. Do you have a set routine you go through every time, or are you like keep it pretty loose?
I mean, I keep it pretty loose. You look at the rapid, scout it, and then kind of visualize it, and just I've recently just been on like trusting my gut instinct more and more, and realizing that when I don't go with my gut instinct, sometimes things go wrong, and so I just kind of go with what I'm feeling.
Cool. And then, so we'll move on to the most important question of today. What do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
Ooh, that is an important question. And to be honest, it depends on the some days I like an oatmeal. Some days regularly, honestly, I like a soft, either some veggies, maybe some Brussels sprouts or sweet potato, or on a rice cake with some avocado with red pepper flakes sprinkled on top.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm feeling super elaborate, maybe I'd go with like what we just had this morning, pumpkin stuffed cinnamon rolls, and that was delicious. So yeah, it kind of depends on the day. I like to keep it loose and just kind of go with the flow on what I'm feeling for breakfast.
Okay, right on, Nick. That's pretty much all the questions that we have here on the list. So thank you so much for taking the time. We're going to move along to our next kayaker. Okay, so next on the show, we've got Emily Jackson. Emily, two important questions, or one important, one not so important. The important one we'll do second. The less important one we'll do first. What do you do when you're nervous before a rapid?
What do I do when I'm nervous before a rapid?
Yes.
I usually peel out and splash some water on my face.
Okay.
I really don't like sitting above a rapid that I'm nervous about. So I usually just tell whoever is taking me down or give a thumbs up to whoever's waiting at the top and just go.
Okay.
I don't be
so
nervous very long, so the shorter the better.
Do you follow a routine, or you just try and keep it as quick as possible?
I don't know. Just I splash water on my face and just go. I don't like to waste time sitting there. It only makes it, you start thinking about other things instead of what you're doing. So just go for it.
Yeah, prime. Okay, so that's the easy question. The difficult question: what do you like to have for breakfast before you go kayaking?
What do I like to have for breakfast before I go kayaking?
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah, it's the most important question.
we eat a lot of different. I know. Okay. We usually always make sautéed in an oven Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, onion, and another form of vegetable, and then we hard eggs and put them on top, usually soft boiled, and then we mix mayonnaise, mustard, and apple cider vinegar and drizzle a little on top, and then the whole family eats that before we head to and that's like usually 5 out of 7 days a week what we're eating.
Yeah, and that sounds pretty tight. Okay, Emily, that's all I needed. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here. Have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you soon.
Yeah.
So that was 7 pro kayakers on being nervous. Hopefully that helped a lot of you. Pretty strong themes coming through on mental rehearsal. So maybe if you're not sure what that is, probably worth a Google to help improve your whitewater kayaking game. Thanks to everyone who asked for tips and advice on this subject. I probably wouldn't have thought to do this on my own, but really do appreciate those people who engaged with me through Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and said that this was something they were interested in, because it gives me a better idea about what you're all interested in and what I can do that helps you to improve your kayaking. If you like this podcast and you want to support it or support my other videos on YouTube, feel free to look me up on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Seth Ashworth. And finally, hit me up with ideas for things you want to know more about in the future, other ways you want to improve your kayaking, and other advice I can get for you. Find me on all the normal social medias, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for listening.